Hello everyone, welcome to my second video. This one is on a little alien girl. I began sketching her, for the first time, while playing a game with my family an evening last week. And while playing, I kept drawing different variations of her, and it was really enjoyable. And it was quite different from what I normally do, because I tend to just draw a character and move on to something different. Probably because, I've just never done it or attempted to do it, and, maybe I have attempted and have just never really practiced enough to get good enough at it. Or good. But in this, I just really liked where she was going, and I thought, hey, why don't I continue on in a video and attempt to improve her visual design even more. I probably should have put the rough sketches in here, but I kind of forgot and it's a little too late now. They started her off quite nicely, I thought, and the improvements that I tried to make in this one were mainly with her balance between her head to body ratio, stylizing it enough, not too much, and so on and so forth. I feel like overall she improved, but there's still areas that I would very much like to work on. I think that process of improving a character and detracting and adding until you get them to that polished version of themselves that just really stands out, I think that's a really special process. And as I said, I've not really done it before, so I'm looking forward to working on her more in the future. The inking, I'm watching it and I'm like, I remember this. It was such a journey. I was so nervous. I wouldn't have thought it, but the camera really does make a difference. It kind of surprised me. I knew it was a possibility, but I thought, how bad can it be, right? I was questioning every stroke. Almost. Maybe not quite that bad, but it wasn't the greatest. It improved though as I went. I really tried to work past it. And I did do one thing to try and warm up. I inked something before I inked her. I don't normally do that. I don't know if I've ever done it before, but I thought, I need all the help I can get. I'll try that. And it did. It helped me loosen up because I did feel so stiff and unnatural. And I think it led to better inking than she could have had. Not great, but better. Here, I just started to color her face with Copics, and I had left the ink dry on this paper for about half an hour at least, and it still wasn't dry enough. And it was pulling and smudging, and I was feeling so bad. I was like, I thought I had waited long enough, but I hadn't. So I left and came back after about an hour. I ate dinner, played some video games, and I thought, surely it had been enough time, right? For the most part, yes, it was definitely better, but there are still tiny little areas where that ink just, the marker just pulled it a little bit. Not noticeable, I just noticed because I look kind of closely. But luckily it was okay because her skin is that warm gray color. And it just blended in and didn't look, you couldn't see it really. Unless you were, like me, looking for it. Or watching out for it. I did enjoy the coloring process and picking the colors, choosing what I hoped would be the right ones for her. I don't have a lot of experience choosing color palettes or even working with markers. I got back into art after being away from it for years. I got back into it early last year, and markers I didn't even really start using until maybe the middle of last year, and I haven't used them lately because I've been more into watercolors. But I really thought the marker overall aesthetic, is that the right one? Well, anyways, I thought markers would fit her style better, how smooth and matte they are, and that they don't have a lot of texture. And she's a very stylized, exaggerated design, and I wanted to try and stay with that. Colors I chose I wanted to go with more subdued and not have them stand out or compete with her design, I suppose, or yeah, I guess that's I'm not sure if it was the best route to take. I'm not completely sold on all of the colors. I like her skin tone, her dress, which it's not there yet, but when you see it, I don't know if I like it quite as much. I don't know, I feel like it should have been pushed a little bit more. And the purples I end up using, I feel should have been warmer or more towards the pinkish side, a nice pinkish purple, but we'll see. As I said, I want to keep working on her so I can try that out in the future. I kept coloring with these markers, which I already mentioned, and this paper, as I've also already mentioned, it's an interesting paper. It's very smooth, and the ink takes a long time to dry on it, as that happened with the inking. It's very nice paper, but I don't know if it's my inexperience or just the paper, blaming the paper. But it's probably a mixture of both. It's just the markers on it, it's almost too smooth, which is kind of weird to say. They just really glide effortlessly over it, which can be nice, but then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go outside the lines and I'm not even moving fast, you know? I'm using a mixture of Copic Chow markers, just 3 of them I think, and then the rest of them are these Le Plume markers. They also have brush tips and alcohol ink. They're quite nice, and I really do enjoy using them. They're also less expensive. You don't see them that often though, so they have really beautiful colors. So if you see them somewhere random, feel free to pick up a few and try them out. You might really like them, if you like markers, that is, or wanted to try markers. The little creature was not in any of her original designs or sketches, but I just felt she needed something else to go with her, and her pose that I put her in kind of looked like she was walking, and I was like, oh, maybe she's walking this little strange puffball pet. So I put it in, and I enjoy drawing little puffball creatures. They look so cute. I don't know if it has legs or not though, so I don't know if she's walking it or just kind of booping along with it, but that's a technicality. I'll think about that later. In her dress, the top was supposed to be black, but I just didn't feel like doing black. I wasn't sure about it, and well, I should say not that it should be black, but that it was black. I almost felt that would have been a better choice, but I don't know, I really love dark gray, and I thought, well, that might look better and have a bit more depth and interest than just pure black. But I think the contrast might have been an improvement. Maybe try for a darker gray next time, like an almost black. Because it looks a little too close to the rest of the dress, which is actually more of a skirt, and I didn't want, they should be more different from each other. Her tattoos were also not in her original sketch, and I actually quite like them, how they turned out. They were kind of on a whim sort of thing. Just some stars and some hearts and a little moon. I tried to color them so that her skin tone showed through a little bit, or that they weren't so strikingly different from her skin. So they kind of stood out, but not too much. Oh, pauses are when I had to go look for more markers. I had tried to get all of them together before I started coloring, but I didn't get enough. I didn't get, the pink, or the right pink for her heart tattoos. I didn't get her eyes, and I didn't get her hair. Partially this was down to the fact that I didn't exactly know what I wanted for those, mainly the eyes and hair. So I ended up with green for her eyes, which I quite liked. I'm not sure if it's her permanent eye color, but it's a good one to start, I think. Then hair was actually the most difficult, and I ended up with orange. I thought of this pink, fleshy-ish grayed out tone, dark purple, and a dark teal. But I ended up going with my first thought, which was orange. I really love this orange. It's a beautiful color. It's a little bit subdued, a little more yellow than some oranges, and I was excited to use it because even though I love orange, I don't actually end up using it that much. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go with this. I think she'll stay with orange hair. I'm not sure if it'll be the same tone, but definitely still orange. I also tried to shade with the same orange marker, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't with alcohol markers. It wasn't enough of a difference though, so I actually came in eventually with a darker orange, which is also a beautiful tone. And I would have liked to add it to more areas of the hair. I only added it in that very back portion, but I couldn't figure out how to do that because I'm quite inexperienced when it comes to shading, as I probably mentioned already. And I didn't know how to do it without harming her, or just doing it wrong, basically. And I was like, okay, I'll just leave it and try it again in the future. And now highlights, the last finishing touch, which I always like to see. It is, I don't know, it's just something, a little special something, and it really helps some things pop. I'm a little too subtle with highlights as well. Probably, I don't know. I liked how they turned out in her hair. Overall, they were okay. It's not the normal style of highlights I do, so it was nice to see them and try them out. And I thought they went with her design overall. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.